Hello everyone. So this week we're talking about Yoruba and the Fon. And so in Yoruba, the mythology, the city of Ile-Ife is the navel of the world. I kind of love that. The navel of the world, where creation took place and the tradition of kingship began. And so if you watch the video, the history of the city and of the people that I have up, it explains a couple of different concepts of this idea of how the civilization came about. But it's still really a mystery, which is quite interesting. The largest and most coherent body of artistic and archaeological evidence from the proto-Yoruba culture of early Ile-Ife dates to roughly between AD 1000 and 1400, an era known as the pavement period. So, as I already said, little is known about these early centuries. Scholars have proposed two broad periods of development: the Archaic period to about AD 800 and the pre-pavement period from about AD 800 to 1000. So the monolith known as Opa Oramiyan, Yoruba Archaic period, I'm showing you here. And among the most remarkable works surviving from the Archaic period are a number of large stone monoliths. A dramatic granite gneiss monolith known as Opa Oramiyan, the largest of these, set with a spiral-headed iron nail. The pattern you can see of iron nails on it rises over 18 feet. There is no way to know exactly what the monolith represents. In contrast to the abstract, radically simplified form of the archaic sculpture, pre-pavement figures depict humans and animal subjects in more naturalistic style. One of the most famous pre-pavement work is known to present-day inhabitants of Ile-Ife as Adina, gatekeeper. Exaggerated legs here, almost like very thick, too thick, and the feet are a little on the small side. But they provide a very stable base for the figure. The figure has a bare chest and a very elaborate wrap that he's wearing. He has this very elaborate beaded necklace, and it's hard to see, but he also has in his hair iron nails, which are suggesting not only a kind of texture in the hair, but making the figure, linking him back to the iron and stoneworks of the Archaic period. But because of the beads and the way this wrap is very ornamented on the side here, we can assume that he was most likely of some kind of high rank in the civilization. So now we're going to look at the pavement period a little closer. During the 11th century, Ile-Ife blossomed into a substantial urban center. Beginning in the 13th century, as rivals between neighboring city-states intensified, Ile-Ife fortified itself with a defensive moat and earthen ramps. Intermittent warfare between city-states continued into the 9th century and is probably in part responsible for Yoruba's cultural patterns of living in densely populated walled cities surrounded by radiating farmlands. So now I'm showing you a plan of Ile-Ife, and excavations suggest that early Ile-Ife was laid out in an orderly plan. Like most Yoruba cities, it was roughly circular, with a palace in the center, two concentric systems of walls surrounded the city. Near the palace, but also sprinkled throughout the city, were shrines to the deities. Major roads radiated outward, linking Ele-Ife to neighboring cities. So now I'm showing you the pattern of pavement excavated at Ele-Ife. Ritual buried pottery has been recovered from such courtyards. One courtyard yielded 14 burial pots set into the earth along the pavement's border and fitted with lids depicting the head of various animals. Yes. And so what you see on the side here is a ram's head. And the ram's head at the left wears a crown, suggesting that the animal served as a metaphor for kingly power. The other animals, such as the elephant, leopard, or what may be a hippopotamus on the pot at the right, may also refer metaphorically to Oni, for they too wear elaborate beaded headdresses with a royal crest and forehead pendant. A single vessel was often set into the center of the courtyard, its positive position emphasized by a circular arrangement of stones and shards around protruding neck. One of the most interesting of these vessels to have been recovered is this. So this is the ritual vessel. Typical of such vessels, the bottom was broken prior to its burial so that libations poured into it penetrated directly into the earth. Decorated with reliefs depict a series of 8 symbols, similar to symbols found on fragments of other vessels. Among them is an altar of shrines such as those that probably stood in the semicircular space framed by the courtyard pavement. A snake whose sinuous body moves over the shoulders of the vessel hovers above the altar. Just to the right, 2 human legs project from a basket, suggesting human sacrifice. Next to the basket, a pair of carved blades connected by a cord looped around a knob. Barely visible is a tall drum. The circular form to the left seems to represent a curved rod, its ends slightly overlapped. Next to the rods, a pair of horns connected by a cord loop around the knob. Perhaps the most intriguing image on the pot is the altar, enclosed by pots supporting a roof of palm fronds. It is set with 3 sculpted heads. The central head is in full naturalistic style, while the flanking works are abstract. Both styles closely resemble works that have been found at Ife, and allow us to assume that these seemingly diverse styles were created concurrently and serve similar purposes.